A rider is racing through the darkness. Behind him, an army has crossed the border. If the warning reaches the capital, thousands of people may survive. If it arrives too late, an entire city could fall. But the capital is 1,000 miles away. There are no telephones, no radios, no engines, and the rider cannot possibly survive the entire journey at full speed. So how could his message reach the king? The answer was one of the ancient world's greatest inventions. The rider was never supposed to complete the journey. Only the message was. Welcome to Xepel. Today, our team is following an urgent message across 1,000 miles to discover how ancient civilizations created communication networks without electricity. Our journey begins more than 2,000 years ago, inside the enormous Achaemenid Persian Empire. The king controls territories separated by mountains, deserts, rivers, and dangerous roads. An order sent from the royal court may need to travel farther than many people will travel during their entire lives. A lone messenger would become exhausted. His horse would slow down. Bad weather, injury, or robbery could end the mission. The Persians solved this problem by dividing an impossible journey into smaller ones. Along important roads, they established stations containing rested couriers and fresh horses. A royal message left the palace with the first rider. He galloped toward the nearest station. But instead of resting, he transferred the message to another courier with a fresh horse. The second courier raced toward the next station. Then a third took over. The riders became tired, but the message never did. It continued moving during the day, through the night, and across changing weather. The Greek historian Herodotus was so impressed by Persian royal couriers that he described how neither snow, rain, heat, nor darkness stopped them from completing their assigned stages. The royal road connecting Susa with Sardis extended for roughly 1,600 miles. Herodotus described a journey that took ordinary travelers about 3 months, while the relay system could move official information far more quickly. This was not a public postal service. An ordinary farmer could not hand a courier a birthday message. The network served royal administration, military intelligence, official orders, and the needs of the empire. Speed was only one problem. The message also had to remain accurate. Imagine whispering a sentence to 100 people in sequence. By the end, the original warning may become completely different. Written documents reduced this danger. A sealed message could pass through many hands without every courier needing to memorize its content. But what happened in civilizations where messages were carried orally? High in the Andes, the Inca Empire developed a road network across some of the most difficult terrain on Earth. The Inca did not use an alphabetic writing system like the Persians, but they still had to transmit government orders and information. Their solution was the chasqui. Chasquis were trained relay runners positioned along the Inca roads. A runner carried an oral message, a small object, or sometimes a quipu, a system of cords and knots used to record information. When the next runner saw him approaching, he did not wait inside the station. He began running beside him. For a short distance, both men moved together, while the first repeated the message. The new runner listened carefully and repeated it back until the transfer was correct. Then the first runner stopped. The second continued toward the next relay station. The message crossed steep mountains, deep valleys, and rope bridges without a horse or wheeled vehicle carrying it. The messenger changed again and again, but the information continued moving. Sometimes sound announced the runner's arrival. A shell trumpet could warn the next chasqui to prepare before the incoming messenger reached the station. It was an ancient notification system. But humans discovered something even faster than running: light. Imagine guards standing on 2 distant mountaintops. One guard lights a beacon. The second sees it and lights another. A third station sees the second flame and continues the chain. A warning could cross enormous distances without any person or animal traveling between the towers. The information appeared to move at the speed of light. But early beacon systems had a serious weakness. A single fire could only communicate a message agreed upon in advance. One flame might mean the enemy has arrived. 2 might mean ships have been sighted. But what if the enemy came from an unexpected direction? What if there were 20 ships rather than 200? What if the danger was not an army, but a rebellion? A simple flame could warn people, but it could not explain the situation. Ancient Greek engineers searched for better solutions. One method used 2 identical containers filled with water. Inside each container was a marked rod containing a list of possible events, such as an attack, ships approaching, or a request for supplies. The sender raised a torch, and both stations opened holes in their containers. Water began flowing out at the same speed. When the desired message reached the top of the rod, the sender lowered the torch. Both stations closed their containers and read the corresponding message. It was an ancient hydraulic communication device. Ingenious, but limited. Both containers had to work almost perfectly, and only messages already written on the rods could be selected. The Greek historian Polybius described a more flexible torch system. Letters were arranged into groups. Torches raised on one side identified the correct group, while torches on the other side identified the individual letter. For example, a particular combination of lights could represent one letter. The operators repeated the process until they had transmitted an entire message. It was slow and required trained observers, clear visibility, and careful attention. But for the first time, fire could do more than signal one predetermined warning. It could spell unexpected information. In a sense, the flames had become pixels. Ancient people also sent messages through sound. In parts of Central and West Africa, large hollowed wooden instruments known as slit gongs could function as a kind of percussive telegraph. Talking drums could change pitch and rhythm in ways that imitated characteristics of spoken language. This was not simply random drumming. In tonal languages, changes in pitch help determine meaning. Skilled drummers could reproduce speech-like patterns, while repeated phrases and context helped listeners understand the message. A nearby community heard the rhythm and repeated it. The message could travel from settlement to settlement, passing through forests where a rider might move slowly and smoke might be hidden by trees. But every ancient communication method had weaknesses. Drums could be misunderstood or heard by enemies. Beacons failed in fog, rain, or daylight. Runners could forget part of an oral message. Couriers could be captured. Seals could be broken. Roads and relay stations required enormous resources to maintain, and sending information was only half the challenge. The receiver needed to trust it. A false warning could move through the same network as a real one. An enemy who understood the signals could light a deceptive beacon. A captured messenger could be forced to carry false information. Ancient communication, therefore, created an ancient version of cybersecurity. Seals helped show that a written message came from an authorized sender. Codes concealed meaning. Trusted messengers carried sensitive orders. Unusual signals could identify genuine communication. Sometimes the messenger himself became part of the security system, because he could explain where the message came from and confirm who had sent it. Now, return to our rider racing through the night. He reaches the first station and hands over the sealed warning. Another courier mounts a fresh horse and disappears into the darkness. At the next station, the message changes riders again. Across a distant mountain, a beacon may alert defenders before the full written report arrives. Horns or drums may summon guards. Runners may carry local orders to nearby settlements. What appears to be one message is actually moving through an ancient network of humans, animals, roads, stations, sounds, lights, codes, and memory. No single person crosses the full 1,000 miles. The civilization itself carries the message. That was the real invention. Ancient people did not make information faster by making one human run forever. They made it faster by building a system in which many people completed one small part of the journey. Modern communication still follows the same basic principle. Your message does not physically fly from your phone to another phone. It passes through a network of devices, towers, cables, and servers, each performing part of the technology changed. The idea did not. Long before electricity, ancient civilizations had already discovered that information could travel farther and faster than the person who created it. A runner became exhausted. A horse needed rest. A flame eventually disappeared. But the message continued. If you enjoyed discovering the forgotten communication networks of the ancient world, subscribe to Exapel and turn on notifications. Our team has many more incredible mysteries waiting for you. Until then, stay curious, stay connected, and